Let us consider on my xy plane, I have a straight line. So let this be my straight line. So on the straight line, so how I can express this straight line as an equation? And the straight line can be expressed as a linear equation. So whenever you have any linear equation, and if you plot that linear equation on your xy plane, it always gives you a straight line. Let us say a point it passes through is x comma y. So in that case, I can say the standard form or a general form of an equation of circle looks like ax plus by is equals to c. And whenever I have something like say a is equals to 0, so whenever a is 0, so I'll be getting something like by is equals to c, or to be more specific, so y is equals to some constant. In this case, say c by b, because both are constant, c by b is also constant. So y equals to some constant. If you plot it on your xy plane, so it will be a horizontal line which is parallel to your x-axis. And if I talk about b is equals to 0, if b is 0, then I'll be end up in getting something like ax is equals to c. Again, if you make x the subject, x would be equals to c over a. Again, it is some constant. So whenever c over a or x equals to some constant, if you plot it on your xy plane, it will be a vertical line which is parallel to your y-axis. So which means y equals to some constant will be a horizontal line, and x equals to some constant is your vertical line. So these are known as linear equations in one variable. And whenever a and b are not zeros, or you can say non-zero constants, we say it's a linear equation in two variables. And there are also many forms of equation of circle. And if I talk about the next form of equation of circle, let's say I have something like y is equals to mx plus c. So where m is known as a gradient of a line, or you can also say a slope of a line, and c is known as a y-intercept. So whenever a slope is given and a y-intercept is given, we say that is known as a slope-intercept form. So how this helps us is, let us take an example. Let's say we need to find the equation of line which has a slope as -2 and y-intercept as +5. So if I want to find the equation of line with this information available, so I will use the slope intercept form, and it goes like y is equals to, and in place of m I can substitute -2 x plus, since c is the y-intercept, I can say +5. So how the y-intercepts looks like on your xy plane? Let's say if this is my x and y axis, let's say I have a line something like this. So this point is what is known as y-intercept. Now, let us look into the next form of your equation of line. Let us say I have a point this time. Instead of y-intercept, I have a point x1, y1, and I know the slope of a line. Let's say the slope of a line is m. So now, using this information, also I can find the equation of line directly. And the equation of line looks like y minus y1 is equals to m times x minus x1. So since I'm using a point and a slope, so that is the reason. So this is known as a slope point form. For an example, if they give you something like the slope of a line is -2 and a line is passing through the point 2, 3. What do you mean by line is passing through the point? Means if I have a straight line on my xy plane, there is some point on the straight line. Let's say this point is 2, 3. This is what they have mentioned. So whenever it has a slope of -2 and passing through the point 2, 3, so we can say the equation of line in the slope point form is going to look like This is my x1 and this is my y1. So it will be y minus 3 is equals to ms minus 2 into x minus 2. So this is known as a slope point form. Let's say if I talk about the next form, if I instead of slope, if I have 2 points, let's say x1 comma y1 and x2 comma y2. So these 2 points are on the line. Let's say this is my line and I have these 2 points on my line. Let's say this is my point 1 and this is my point 2. Let us name this as A and this as B. And in this case, if I have a 2 points and if I want to find the equation of line, the best way to do this is y minus y1 is equals to m into x minus x1. So obviously we know this. This is the equation of a straight line in a point slope form. And we also know that a slope m is nothing but y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So that is the reason what I can always say is, so y minus y1 is equals to m is nothing but y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 times it with x minus x1. So here I'm using a 2 points. So that is the reason this is known as a 2 point form. For an example, instead of a and b, let us take a point 1 comma 2 and 3 comma 4. So in this case, let us consider this as x1 y1 and this as x2 and y2. So in this case, if I talk about 2 point form, so it would be y minus y1, which is 2, is equals to y2 minus y1, so which is nothing but 4 minus 2 over x2 minus x1, which is 3 minus 1 times x minus x1, so which is x minus x1 is 1. So it is not necessary here you have to use x1 and y1. So instead of y1 and x1, you can also use say y2 and x2. You can use any point. So this is what is known as a 2 point form. Now, next, if I talk about, say I have a straight line. Let us say this is my x-axis. So on the straight line, I have the I have x-axis and I have a straight line. Now, in this case, let us say I know this angle. I know this angle. The slope is not given. Let's say just a point is given, okay, or the intercept is given, or whatever it is. So, but I know the angle, but I'm not sure what is my slope. So using the angle, so my next question is, using the angle, is it possible to find the slope of a line? And the answer is yes, we can do that. So how to do that? Let us consider, we know that a slope of a straight line is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So which is nothing but, you can say y steps over x steps. Or if you consider this as a right angle triangle, so you can say this is my opposite and this is the adjacent of your straight line. In that case, you can say tan theta is equals to opposite over adjacent. So which means the slope of a line is also equals to tan theta. So in this case, I can find the slope. And when I know the slope, so this is something known as angle point form. Let's say I have a slope now. Now, if I have another point, let's say I have a point x1 comma y1, which is passing through the line. So I can say the equation of line, which is a point slope form, looks like y minus y1 is equals to m is nothing but tan theta. So which is nothing but tan theta into x minus x1. Let us take an example. Let's say the angle between a line and an x-axis, which is theta, is say 60 degrees, and I have a line passing through the point 2, 3. If I want to find the equation of this line, so this is just going to be say y minus 3 is equals to tan 60 into x minus 2. And we know the tan 60 is say root 3. If you want, you can replace it. That will be the final equation of line. And the last but not least, if I talk about another form of equation, and let's say I have the xy plane, y-axis and x-axis, and I have a straight line which has both the intercepts. Let's say this is my y-intercept, which intersects with the y-axis, and this is my x-intercept. Let us say the x-intercept as A and the y-intercept as B. So if the two intercepts are given, we can also find the equation of line, and that is known as an intercept form of your line. And the intercept form of a line looks like x over A plus y over B is equals to 1. So where A and B are x and y intercepts respectively. Let us take an example. So we need to find the equation of line which has a x-intercept as positive 2 and y-intercept as positive 3. So then the equation of line is going to be x over 2 plus y over 3 is equals to 1. So even this is a linear equation with two variables.